Hi there. This is going to be a film on the Ken, and it's designed to go with the Bukiwaza levels that I've now started to introduce to the world. And it doesn't matter where you are in the world, if you send me a video or if you're standing in front of me and I'm testing you, these are the weaker points that most people have, and I want to just go over them with you. And so you can check yourself out before you either apply and work on them, so that you sharpen your Aikido. I remember Coach Toei saying Aikido in daily life. He wrote a book on it, and I'm outside, and perhaps my dog may occasionally decide that she doesn't like people in the field around us or walking by, so you might hear her chirp up as well, but that's Aikido in daily life. Okay, so let's start. The Suburis are what you should work on year in, year out. And Saito Sensei really said that the Suburis and the Kumitachis, or the flowing Ken, is just the Suburis done with movement. So if you can do the Suburis well, then you'll be able to do the Kumitachis, the Ken Kimasubi no Tach, the Ken Tai-Jo, and so on. Okay, so what are the common faults? If you do film yourself, always film yourself from the front and the side. I'm not worried so much about the other side or the back. Okay, so your chest side, if it's sideways, where your chest side is, to my left in this case, because we only ever hold the Ken with our right hand forward, so that's why you would show it from the left. One of your fists apart. Mine are sometimes smaller, but it should be one hand apart, space between you in the Ken. And a lot of people have got this finger, we call it the trigger finger. If you watch even the advanced Iwama teachers, they'll have this finger in the Ken and the Jo. You know, when they ski, you can see it. When they're holding the Jo, when they're holding the Ken. Sensei said it stands out, and if it stands out, then it'll stand out to your partner, an attacker. And it's a little bit like those of you who drive with a car. There might be only one tree in the whole road, or a telegraph pole in the whole road, but the car seems to always hit the telegraph pole of the tree. So it's a little bit like that. He said that the attacker would use that and break that finger because it's vulnerable. Even Saito Sensei told us not to do this, but occasionally I saw him do it, and I'm sure I'm doing things wrong also, even today. Alright, but we are human. But I'm telling you the points that you should work on and correct so that they're not there. So, if it has to have a gap, let's have a look here close. That's about the most gap that I normally try to allow. Alright, it doesn't feel right sometimes just closed together, but that's where he told us where it should be. He'd shout at us even, but then I'd see him do this. Okay, so that's a weakness as well. So when cutting, I'll do the upper half first. When cutting, a lot of people, their elbows go out like this, and the elbows, you'll notice as I come here, my elbows are much wider than my shoulders. So the idea is to try to keep the elbows and the arms no wider than the shoulders. Again, in the evenings when we used to chat, he said if you can walk through a door while cutting, then your arms are in the right place. He said you'll never get through the door like this. So it's just something that has stayed with me all these years. So if you find that your elbows are going out, just draw them in on the downward cut. Draw them in on the downward cut. If you can keep them in, then it's good. Going to the back leg now, there's different variations. Saito Sensei said, don't lock the leg, but don't have it too soft, or else it's like you're sitting on a bar stool. This one, it looks like you've stopped and gone down on this bar stool. Okay, you're going forwards, so project forward, but don't lock it. Just a very small piece, but don't have it bent. You will say, perhaps, that I'm contradicting what you've seen, but every student is with their sensei, their master, for a period of years. Mine was in total 27. 19 following him twice a year around the world. The other was before I met him with his early films and his early books, and I would train daily in the evenings, look at the films, and I could copy films better than I could follow the books. So I would watch a piece of film, I'd go in my back garden and I would train the Kennel Joe. So 27 years I've been watching him. Over those 27 years he changed dramatically, and a lot of people don't like teachers that change dramatically, but we all hopefully are going to advance. So he went from really one posture almost completely to an upright posture. But I'm telling you the period that I saw him in, what he told us, and he was just past the age of 50 then, so he was going in between very powerful stage and more subtle work, and as he got older still, he wanted these points. So I'm trying to give you these points. If you're doing a series of Suburis, I like to see 3 of each, but don't do this each time you've done one. To me that looks a little bit stupid and robotic, okay? So do strike from where you ended. Some teachers were in an era where they stepped first. I was in the era before this, and if you watch Saito Sensei on any films, check the films, don't take my word for it. If you see Saito Sensei on any of the films, you won't see him stepping first. The theory is, would you step onto a spear before you have protection? Your Ken needs to be in front of you. If you step first, it gives you stability. So if you're looking for stability, then please step first. Okay, so the other problem that we see, the person comes here, they turn to cut, and it becomes what I call a dead cut. They almost just cut on the spot. They turn, they just cut. It's almost like a dead cut, so I should be looking to see how much of a cut you can put in that is real. So keep the feet reasonably together, even if you have to pull one back or bring one forward. the next thing, if you do cut on the opposite side, this side, a lot of people, their arms go away from their centre and it ends up outside their body. So you want to be careful, even you seniors, you don't want to be cutting like that, it's outside the body line. Okay. This is no good. If it was a Joe, your partner could take that and push you and throw you. So keep it in front of your centre line. Remember the elbows. When you're turning to the left, the left hand opens. When you're turning to the right hand opens. As soon as it's going to come down, you close the hand. Close the hand. Close the hand. As you come down in the strike, the hands are squeezing as if you're going to wring out a towel of water. You're squeezing that. The two fingers are the ones that do the squeezing and the others follow. So these are the points that I need you to look at. Is this gap too small? Is this finger out? Are the elbows too wide? Is the back leg too bent? Another point is the head. It will look at times with every teacher that the head is down, but there's down and there's too much down. So try to look forward, forward, not down like this. If you look down, it tells me that you're deep in concentration and you're not aware of the surroundings around you. Okay. So there's some important points there that you need to work on. The next one is the 6th Suburi with the ski. So we come here. Now, it's really difficult. A lot of people, they just poke this. It becomes a poke, there's no power there. So what you want to look for is a cut. You can try this both ways. If the gap is not too big, then eject yourself. Lift the front foot a little, not too much, and eject yourself forward. If the gap's not too big, eject yourself forward. You must have this punch to your 6th Suburi. The other way that you can do it, I quite like this as well, but it needs timing. You do this, and as soon as the foot lands, you bring the back foot up a little. Okay, so I'll do it a bit of an angle. Eject. Or okay, so either the back foot comes up, the moment it's coming down, the back foot comes up, gives you the power to eject. It mustn't be a poke. Okay. So when you're raising over the head, The Suburis, the second Suburi, third Suburi, and fifth, sixth. So it starts with this. Now a lot of people, this is too low to their head. If you see my arms bent, they need to really be higher. It's okay having this, but if you want to one day find Kokyu, you need what I call little triggers. You need triggers of inspiration. The inspiration is going to give you the release one day of Kokyu. So it's like going up to the heavens. You know, Sensei used to say he gets from the heavens and brings it down to earth, and then, you know, perhaps you've got to believe in a little bit more than what you do regularly. Okay, so. And then when you cut, you've got that wonderful burst of energy, adrenaline, or whatever you'd like to call it, and it makes the cut very powerful. If it's too low to the head, it's all controlled. It's a mechanical dead cut. Okay, so the third Suburi. I'm jumping around because there's pieces that I'm covering in a sort of a stage. The third Suburi, I always say do the first Suburi. When you're halfway through the first Suburi, just switch it into the second, so the first part becomes the same. First, second, first, second. You go from the first to the second to the third. First, second. Now the difference with the third is the Ken is a little more upright here. At this point the Ken goes upright. Go up to the heavens. Take in an in breath now. Push it to the pit of your stomach. The hands must be not ever so firm around the Ken. But one hand, it's like, Sensei used to say, it's like holding eggs in your hand. You mustn't crush them. Don't have the end of the Ken out because your partner can see it. Drop it so that it's behind you. Turn, come over the head, cut. So this is where you'll be able to look at all your weaknesses. The next thing I'd like to say is I'll show you sideways, because a lot of people are what I call in the aggressive stage and they should be in the neutral stage with their body. If you're here, you're aggressive because you're looking forward. Be here. 50-50, 50-50. Bring it up, open the foot, strike. Okay, so there'll always be more points that we can add, but these are the things that I should be looking for in the various stages for those who wish to send in a film or, as I say, be in front of me. Too small a gap, I'm not too worried about, but one hand length. Finger, keep it as close as you can. Elbows mustn't be out. And doing the fifth, you have to concentrate all the time on the elbows. This is no good. And then bringing them in. Right? But start somewhere. Start bringing them in on the downward swings, and once you get a better rhythm, they'll become natural. The seventh Suburi, I'm not going to say much about that because it's just the body timing, and again it's a punch from your centre. Right? So I hope these things will help you study, and you can always ask me questions on Messenger or email. There's lots of ways of contacting me now if you're still unsure. Okay, I hope you've enjoyed this film, and the next one I'll try and make will be on the Joe. Domo arigatou. Ah, one small point, sorry. I noticed the other day that someone offered the Ken like this to the showman and bowed. You should never do that. First of all, the blade should be to you, the handle on the left. The blade should be to you because you're bound to the sensei or a teacher, and you're saying, I trust you. If you want to cut me, it's up to you. The handle's on there right. Okay? But the hands should never be this way up, fists up. It should always be this offering. So, this is the way to do it. If I'm going to hand it to someone, the blade is to me, I hand them it, they open their hands, they take it, I'll pretend that they're the opposite person now. So now they've received it, they take it and they roll the blade straight back to them, face them. That means that thank you and I trust you. Okay, so it's etiquette. Etiquette is one of the biggest things we must have in Aikido. Okay, so it's the small points, and thank you for your time.